That's it. So what we need our koala to start working, and you can see it here. That's my animate from last time, and I have it all set up as last time, and that's gonna keep running because I have auto compile checked, so I can leave koala running in the background, and it will do everything that we need. Now we said we wanna go and import Bootstrap. So the first one here it says CSS only, so that's all CSS files styles that Bootstrap needs. Um, so let's import that into our index.html, same way we would do any other CSS file. Only difference is that it's using some URL, some other website instead of our file from our server, from our project. And then let's copy these last 3 lines here, and we add those at the end. So jQuery, we don't need that now because we're gonna actually just one of these 3 links are for the jQuery. So the first one is loading jQuery, the second one is loading this JavaScript that's called Popper or however you pronounce it, and then the last one is Bootstrap's JavaScript that they wrote. So right now if we save, we can open our index.html, reload it. Actually it's reloading itself. There is nothing there because we deleted all the content, but we can go to inspect, go to console, and make sure that everything is loading. So right now we have error because this main.js is not loading, and it's not loading because we don't even have it there. We don't even have it in our JS. So we're just gonna remove this because that's our custom JavaScript file that we're gonna do next class. So now we save again. You always wanna, at the beginning, reload, go to your inspector tools and go to console, and if you don't see any errors, that's good. Everything's loading now. So we're gonna now put some content to make sure that Bootstrap will have effect on those. So as a beginning, just for example, let's do h1 and then our howdy class stuff, and then I will go ahead and comment this everything that we I'll comment Bootstrap out right now. So right now you can see that this howdy class is default font, default color, nothing's there, we don't have any styles. So let's enable this Bootstrap stuff to see what Bootstrap will do only to our one element. So let's enable it back. So we enable this first script and the last 3 ones down there, as they say on the site. I saved it, go back, and you see it moved it in the middle, it changed the font, and if I go inspect this element, I can see now here that I see some different partials, right? I see, where is it? Reboot, that wasn't there. So reboot is version of normalize inside Bootstrap. So there is our normalize that was scratched because Bootstrap is loading this type.scss. Those are all now styles that are coming from Bootstrap, and we can see that it moved it in the middle of the page because we use this container class. So if I remove this class, this what we should get. So if you add, that's the first one that we can cover. So you add container class, and that's one of the classes that Bootstrap comes with. It will make that div to be in the middle, to have some padding. This green color next left and right is a padding, so it gives a little bit of padding and then a margin to the rest of the page, and that's how your container will look like. So every time you want your your div element or your container to look like this, you just add class container and Bootstrap will take all the styles for you. If you want this container, let's add background color for this real quick. We will start by going to Bootstrap documentation now. So we installed it, or we linked Bootstrap to our site, and now we can use it. So you go to this documentation tab right here, and there are a bunch of stuff. There's some links on the right, and there's some links on the left. So on the left are all like the sections that you can start going through Bootstrap. And again, here on this site you will find all the examples and everything you need pretty much to start using Bootstrap. And you'll see that it's not that difficult. On the right you'll see some starter templates and some other stuff that we're not going to cover right now. We're going to concentrate on layout, content, and these things here. So Bootstrap became popular with the first version about its layout. So it's using something that's called 12 grid layout. So it's separated in, I don't know if we covered that already or not, but let's say this is your page, and Bootstrap works with like 12 columns in one row. This should be 12, it's not 12, but I did that last time too. So imagine those are 12 columns. And that's how, and then you can say, okay, I want my element to be 3 columns. This is, and it will calculate your width of your page, separated in 12 columns, and then you can say, okay, I want 4 elements by 3 columns, right? And you add 3 more here. Or you can say, I want 2 elements of 6 columns, and it will separate them in 2. Makes sense? So everything adds up to 12, and you can do 6 elements with 2 column width, and you can do 4 elements with 3 column width, stuff like that. And then let's add a couple of elements so you can see what they're doing. And I think that starts in the layout. So I clicked on layout, and it shows you here. So the first class you add is a container, and we already saw what that's doing. But let's add color and a little bit of height to our container so you can see what's going on. So we're gonna go and do our own styles there. First we need to get this, let's say my container. So we will use this class for our own stuff, and container, this is Bootstrap's class. We can add stuff to this as well, but we don't want to override everything right now. We will just use our own class to style this element further. So Bootstrap already applied some stuff, we're gonna add some ours. So we're gonna do class, this one that we just added, and we want it to add some background, and let's say our background will be something like that, or let's do a little something reddish, and we said we want to add some height, so let's say 300 pixels, so we can see what's going on. So let's refresh that, go back to our site. What the heck? Oh, I didn't save my index, I guess. Yeah, I don't see my class, so I need to save my index, and there it is, right? So we added some our stuff, and then Bootstrap, that container class, it's centering it in the middle. So Bootstrap also has a class if you wanna say this container to go full width. So the class that you would use for that, and you can see that in documentation, if you go down, it's gonna be called container fluid. So it will stretch it out, and let's try to see how that looks like. So we only need to do container fluid instead of container, and let's see our site now. So you see now it's just using Bootstrap's classes, you can see that you know how to do it with using Flex and regular CSS, right? But this is, if you're using already Bootstrap, all you need to do is just to learn these classes. And as you're doing it, you will start getting them, they make sense. So container will be always your starting, like your wrapper, like your main container, and then we go from there. So
what would be the advantage of using that over Flexbox?
well, in Flexbox, you wouldn't. This is built on top of Flexbox, so everything that Bootstrap has all the styles already. They are written using Flexbox, but they're already prepared for you, so you can use them if you want. But if you don't, you can write your own styles, right? It's just gonna take you more, right? But this can get you going faster. They will start look all like. You will start recognize, if you're using Bootstrap, you'll start recognizing sites they're built on Bootstrap. So speaking of that, let's see. If you go here, you have examples here that you wanna for sure check out. They all show you snippets like that, so you can see code how to do it. They really, documentation is super. And then in themes, if you go themes, here you can see that people actually selling themes that are built on top of Bootstrap, and that's what you can do too. You can sit and spend some time and build Bootstrap theme, which will not be hard coded. It needs to have all the variables so people can change them. But you can then submit, and if you get accepted, you can sell some of those. So for example, application, this is theme called application, $50, and this site that you see right here, it's all built in Bootstrap, just using these classes that we're gonna cover today. That's all it is. So it looks very much like Facebook, right? And you can get some of the categories here. You can get maybe inspiration from here. So e-commerce and retail. Let's see this one. So this is also, yeah, there are some free ones. A lot of them are a lot free versions that you can find and start with. But oof, sorry, that hurt. Oh my gosh. Okay, so this is navigation there. This is all using Bootstrap stuff. It's all the classes. And Bootstrap is great because it gives you all the mobile. It's built as a mobile first approach. So they build it, all the themes and everything is built first to look good on mobile and then on big screens. I'm showing you just big screens here, but you can see if we you see the elements, pay attention on these three ones here and then these two. So these two now are 6 each, right? Remember 12 grid? So this one, you will see those classes, but this one, they said, okay, these 2 elements to have 6 columns, and that's gonna divide in half of the page. These here are 4, right? Because 4 times 3 is 12. And you can say, okay, as soon as I hit small screens, I want this to be 12, which means it will take the full width. And you can see, I'm sure they did that. I don't know, but we'll find out. So you see these 3 flipped, and they are now full width. Well, all the way up to this point, they were taking 4 columns each, which is 4 and 4 and 4. That's 3. That's 12. So it's full grid. And this here, do you know what breakpoints are? Right? I think we talked about it. Breakpoints are when you want to change certain styles in at what width of the page you want to change styles. So usually you want to cover at least 3. So one would be, I don't know, let's say 1200 pixels and more. If my screen is more than 1200 pixels, these are the styles that I'm gonna get. If I look at tablet, which is, I don't know, 768 pixels, then I will get certain styles. And then for small screens, which is, I don't know, 390 and less pixels, I will get different styles. And that's how Bootstrap also is working, has already pre-built breakpoints for us, and we can use them just using classes. So as I go down and they change class, boom, from being 4 columns to 12 columns, which means take the full width. And then similar will happen to this, I'm sure, but only on small screen probably. So as I hit small screen, you see the elements became 12 again, and now they're all stuck together. And this is all built using Flexbox, so you can do all yourself if you want. It's just more time, right? But it's going to be your own, so that's the benefit of that as well. This one, Bootstrap, is a lot heavier because it has thousands and thousands of lines of styles that you don't really use all of that, right? But it can get you up and going fast. So those are themes and examples. You can get ideas and inspiration from them. So let's go back to the documentation. So we covered container and container fluid. Container will make it smaller, and as we shrink our page, so right now we have, let's put it back to container. So let's remove this fluid part of this class, and you see it makes it made it in the middle. And then as we scroll down, you see we're losing this space on the sides, but as soon as we hit like medium screen, it will do something. Boom. It adds, again, it adds a little bit of margin, because you want to kind of keep the look on medium screens. And then as we go down, we get to small, it adds a little more. And then we go to extra small, boom, adds again, and then everything after that will just shrink the container. While if we use container fluid, it will always be full screen, no matter full width, no matter what, bless you, no matter what device we are using. So that's about containers. If you go down, if you want to, here you can see the the breakpoints which Bootstrap is using. So they're like big devices, extra large devices, large, medium, small, and extra small. And you can see what the sizes are here. And we can, by using SM, that's small class. That means that we will, it will look at less than 768 pixels of the width of the screen for people. If you want to get idea how much is that, if you have your inspector open like this and you start resizing the screen, you see here in this corner you will see the pixels. So you see that. So if I go down, and you see on 768 something will change again because I hit that other breakpoint. You see right there, it happens again. That means because inside that class there is some styles, they're set to be to apply only when the screen is that size, right? So we will see that in action, but those are the numbers here if you're interested to see. And the classes are SMs for small, MD for medium, LG for large, XL for extra large, and XS is for super small screens, but they're not around anymore that much. So pretty much small is because iPhones and those Androids now, they have pretty high resolution, and the pixels are pretty the width is pretty big.
So you just have to put the media inquiry in?
Well, no, you need still small, but not extra small.
I meant like you just put the media inquiry in and Bootstrap does it for you?
Yes, and you will see it in action now. So we did only the container so far, that parent kind of element, and now we want to add something that's called row. So imagine like a table. So we have container element, that's our main one, and then we want to, inside that we want to have row 1, which will be the full width and height, or we can add as many rows as we want. But this container, the main one, that we added red color to, it will hold all these rows. And once you have container and then row, inside that row you can start applying these column classes to make it like 3 or 6, or if you don't have row inside container, you cannot use those column classes. So let's do that. Those are all the breakpoints, the z-index, and if we go to grid, this is where we start. So here you see they put container first, and then inside they did row, and inside they did column div. So let's do that on our own. Here, so this is our, so instead of having div with class container, we said we're gonna use HTML5 tags instead, like we learned the first class. So you don't have to use div, as you need to take care of the classes, but the HTML5 tags, as we already learned, that's what we should be using too. So our main one over the whole page will be main still. So let's say we want to push this down and start with the section maybe. So main will contain all our sections. Make sense, right? So our main is around everything, and then we start with sections. We will have header and navigation in a little bit, hopefully. So this is our section. It has h1, and let's add one paragraph with one sentence, and lorem will give me that kind of gibberish word, just nonsense. I'll just leave one sentence right there. So this is our container. Inside container we need to have row, right? We said we need row, so inside row. So now we can have, as they say right here in documentation, so container, then you have row, and then you start with your columns, which will be these elements right here. And then we will put our h1 and our paragraph inside that. So we need another one that it's called just call right now. And one thing with Visual Studio Code that I promised I'll show you and I never did, it's if you want to cut and paste, for example, this, you can select it, cut it, and paste it here. But there's one shortcut that you can just select these two lines, and then you hold Option or Alt on your computer, and you do arrow up, and it will just like move it up wherever you want them, right? Cutting and pasting just with the arrows. It's kind of handy. I started using it a lot at one point, I don't know when, but just started. It's faster than clicking Control X, Control V every time. Anyway, so we have our div, the main div. Let me just indent all the properly here. So we have our row, and then we have our column. So let's make 3 columns. And the way you can copy also with a shortcut is holding Option and Shift, which is Alt and Shift on Windows, and arrow down will copy whatever you selected. Boom, another one. Boom, another one. It's just very I find it easy. So anyway, let's make those h3s so they are not too big, and just type something how the class 2 and how the class 3, so we can see what's going on. So let's save and check it out. So you noticed I didn't use any numbers, I didn't use any classes, only column, only col, C-O-L. And what that will do, it will spread columns equally throughout the, it's doing justify or justify content space between, I believe, is the default what it's using. If you remember Flexbox classes, that's what it's doing. Let's add border to this column so we can just see them better. so I'm gonna go to our base. I'm gonna say, okay, every column class will have border 1 pixel solid, and it will be I don't know, dark gray, which is 4141 whatever, and save that. Go back, and you can see now we have borders. So just so we can visually recognize those columns. So let's say we want them, we want the first one to be 6, or to get half of the width of this element, and the other two to take up equally the rest of it. Okay, so how are we gonna do that? So the first one we said we want to be the half of the width. What I need to do? Call dash, and then what number I should put?
6.
Okay, 6.
And we have 12.
Exactly. So we have 2 columns left, and we have 6 spaces left. We want them to be same width, so we're gonna put 3 on each. So our spacing will add up to 12. Does this 12 column grid make sense so far?
It always has to be 12.
Yeah, it's like a table. Imagine table, and then you putting elements, and always needs to kind of, you don't have to, but if you put if you have some left off, like 3 left off, it's going to be empty space, because remember flex, if you say flex start on a horizontal alignment, it will push all the elements here, and that's what it's doing here as well. Just you don't see it, you just use classes and you know what they're doing, but it is beneficial to know flex or understand what's going on in the background, so you can apply this easier, I think. So now if we save and go back, we can see where are our borders. Oh, because the column is not that class anymore. Now it's column dash.
So is it technically called a flexbox grid then?
Yes. In the background, Bootstrap is built, all the styles that Bootstrap is using are flexbox grid. All and other styles, right? CSS styles. But it's all built in Sass also. It has all the variables that you can change, and maybe we'll get there today. You can change those colors. And I want to just, so right now I need to, let's add our own class to every element of this, and we can so we can add that the style. So we want to say now every element that has class item will have that border. So now they have all our borders. So you can see that this one is half of, so 12 grid is this element, because that's where we said container. This is what is holding the row, and the row is holding those columns. So this 6 doesn't mean half of the page. It means half of that row element, right? Makes sense? If I change this container to which class was to take the full width, you don't say it. So which one was to have the full width? This one is container, and the other one was container fluid, right? So that makes it to be full width. And now you see the first class still 6 width, and the other ones are 3, and 6 means half of the width. So I hope it makes sense. It's visually kind of thing. So right here you can see it. If we want, let's say we want the middle one to be 6 and the left and the right to be 3. So we go back to our classes, and we give to the middle one 6, and the first one and the third one have 3, which means this can be, you can imagine it as 30. It's not 30%, it's a quarter of the full width. So it's 25% of the width.
It's a little less.
Well, yeah, but
Margin.
I'm trying just to throw in different examples to click, you know, what is actually going on. So let's save this and see. So you see now the middle one is 6 or half of the parent container width, and then the other ones. So you can start seeing how you can manipulate elements and give them different widths and stuff. But it's not, Bootstrap is not only about widths, of course, it has tons of stuff like that. But this is the beginning. And I want to show you what we saw on that theme. As you go to smaller screens, something happens. So right here, when we don't have any of these breakpoints classes. Remember I said SM is for small, medium, MD, and all that stuff. So if I want to say I want these classes to apply, I want these widths to apply only for medium screens and up, right? Then I just need to add call dash MD dash 3, call MD dash 6, call MD dash 3. So this means now if the width of the screen is medium or larger, then be 6 in width. If it's not the case, it should default to full width, which is 12. But we don't have to write that. So let's see if I'm correct. So right here we are larger than medium, right? We are big screen, and we're gonna go down. We are still medium. Medium was what was the medium? I don't want to go back that way. I think it was 768 where medium ends. So if we go lower than 768, these elements should go full width. So let's see if that's the case. So still medium, and now it will kick. There you go, you see? So that's the same we were doing with Flexbox when we were saying flex base is 100%, or that's all it is in the background, but it's much easier where you can just use classes than writing all that stuff, right? So similarly, you can do it the other way, right? You can say, okay, I want on small screen to look this way, and then on the big screen to be stacked. But usually on the phone you want stuff to stack like this because it's for user experience, it's just better. And there you go, you just did your first responsive element on your website just with this much code. Just regular HTML markup, you just added the classes and you got it. And similarly, you can control, let's see, we want for column large, I want this one to be 3, and this one, the other ones to be, where is the 6? Okay, so now we will have 3 different situations, right? So on small ones they default to full width because we didn't say anything. So as long as we are on medium, it will be, the middle one will be larger, twice as big as the other 2, and then once we hit large screen, it will be the other way around. The middle one will be less, the other ones will be more. So let's see how that looks like. So right here we are on medium screen, and our middle element is taking twice as much as the other 2. And then when we hit the large, you see Flexbox, I didn't do something right. So 6 and 6 and 3 is not 12, right? It's a little too much. So we want to say, I don't know, let's say this one to be, let's say all to be same width, 4 and 4 and 4, let's say that. So now you see when we are on large and up, that means extra large as well, because we didn't say anything for extra large. So the class that you say, it means from that point and up. So they are all same width. They all take fourth of the, actually the third of the screen. It's a little weird because it's number 4, but it's actually a third of number 12. So it can be confusing, but with seeing this, I think it's a clear what's happening, right? And now when we get to our medium, the other classes that we set up will kick in. So there it is. The middle one is 6, and the left and right are 3. So let's see navigation. That's the one that usually uh, you get benefit of Bootstrap the fastest of all. Before we continue with these columns and stuff, so quick way you can, and I always do when I use Bootstrap. What I do, I go and grab like in a components. I think that's where it is. In components, and you can see here you have excuse me, you have alerts. Those are all pre-built if you use their classes. So if you add to any element on your page, if you add class alert success, it will look like this. It will give dark blue font color, and it will give this blue background, and we can see that in action on our element. So right now we wrote our own color in our styles. So let's remove that really quick. Let's remove this. That's this color right here. We'll keep the height just because we want it a little bit taller so we can see. So now it doesn't have any styles. If we go into our container, we said we want to add this alert success class. If I save and go back, success is green, yes, but you get the point, right? So success will be green, primary would be this blue, default would be gray, and you can see all this right here. That's the example, right? Alert, if you add alert, it will be like a pop-up using that JavaScript. But for now, you can see what's going on, and those are alerts. You have badges, cards. Let's say I want my element to look like this, and we'll build one. I'm going off track. I wanted to show you, what was it? Navigation. Yes, thank you very much. So you see here navbar component. So you click navbar, and you go down, and you can see examples. So for example, this navbar right here has everything that Bootstrap gives you. It has, this is called brand, or it's a place for your logo or your name or something, and then it has links. It has even a drop down link that it's created that you can create. It has divider if you want to separate some link. It has disabled link, which is not clickable. You see this one is darker, which means you can make that one active, and it has even search box that is pushed on the other side and all that. So you can scroll down and find the one that you want. This would be just navbar with the name, with the brand part for your brand. You can put logo or the name of your site, and they give you example here. And this is the code right there. You just copy and paste, and you'll get that. And what I want is maybe something like this, right? Navbar with the four links. So what I'm gonna do, I just copy this, the whole thing, and you can see that it's using all. You can type it yourself if you want, but it's why, because you can use just copy paste it and then start customizing, right? So it's using navbar class, and then navbar expand large means to be a little larger. You can change this LG to SM, which would make it small, right? Light means be light color. There are different colors that you can see in the documentation here. What are those classes? And you already saw some. If you use class success, you know that that's going to be green. If you use primary, you know it's going to be blue. And you can override those colors later on. But let's copy this real quick in our site. So above our section that we were playing with right now, we want to create header, which is our HTML5 element that we learned in class 1 or 2, and then inside that one we will copy paste all these that we copied from there. So some things, let's save and see how it looks like on our site. So there it is, boom, we got the navigation bar just like that. So now we can start customizing. So for example, I don't want this disable button there, I want regular link. So I'm gonna look here and find and look, just remove this class disabled and go back, and you see the link is now there, and you see the hover effects are already coming with Bootstrap, which is great. I think, I mean, you don't have to worry about writing that, and it's doing it in a great way. I just don't think we're gonna have time to do it today, but you can customize the color, the primary color of the font. If you say red, this will be a little darker red. If you say blue, it's gonna be a little darker blue. So you don't have to specifically change the font color plus changing the hover color. So you just change one color, which is power of variables in SAS that we learned. So let's try to clean up this a little bit. So I don't want this to say navbar. I want to say class name, let's say. I'm gonna go back, right? This is regular content, nothing special about it. So I want this to be dark menu, or I want to be primary color, which is that blue. If we go to Bootstrap, I think colors schemas right here, that should be the one. Yeah. Oh, so there you go. They already show you the navigation here. So if I use navbar dark, which will make dark color in the background and light font, and if I say BG dark, it's also gonna do this black color, and BG primary. BG is for background, and the dash primary is the color. So if you do BG dash success, it will be green background, right? So let's change that in our navigation. So if we look what we copied before, we see that it says navbar light, which means light background, dark fonts. We want the other way. We want to have dark background and light fonts, and then BG dash, and then we put the color, but color class, not the color value, right? Understand what I'm saying? So Bootstrap has classes for colors. So if we say primary, that's gonna be that blue color that comes from. So BG primary means give background blue color. And if you go back to our site, boom, there you go. We just change it like that. And if we do success, let me do that because I'm just mentioning it all the time. It will be green, just like that, right? And then you don't have to use that if you don't want. If you want your own color, you can just add your own class here and then style it the way you want. But you can use those. Let's say we want blue, and then you can override what that primary color is right now. Let's go to examples. Let's see what they have there. So examples. So here in examples, you have already pre-built themes that you can start off, and you can see one like this one has the elements to the right. So let's open that one. So there it is. You can recognize those things. Those are called cards. If you go through components in Bootstrap site, you can see them. They're pretty cool. I like them. But you can see this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to have logo on the left and my links on the right. So let's inspect these elements here. Sneak into them. Here, nav. And you see the nav has these classes. MRMD3. Why didn't do it when I do it? That's something weird to the nav class.
Because the search box is blocking it.
We don't have search box. So this is our nav. So there is our class name. These toggles here, this button right here, this shows up only in small screens. So let me show you. If we scroll down, what Bootstrap gives us, as soon as we hit less than medium, you see the links there. As soon as we hit, boom, it shows us the hamburger. How cool is that? We don't need to do anything, right? It's just coming out of the box. That's pretty cool. You see, it's even pushing the content down, and it's tested for mobile screens and for mobile phones and stuff. So it's pretty cool. We would need to write our own JavaScript to do this effect. Bless you. And this is also done with the animations. I mean transitions. We see how it's slowly. That's what we learned last time with transitions. It's slowly extending. So that's all happens in the background. So let's just give to this element another class. This is my last try, and then that would be my homework. This is maybe I'm giving it to the wrong element the whole time. I don't even see from. Let's see. Yes, that's correct, probably. It's not. Anyway, I promise I'll send you. I don't know what the heck is going on. Or we can do different. We can come to this example, inspect the element, and see where this navigation starts right here. This div right here is the whole navigation, and we can right click and edit as HTML, and this will open you this whole section HTML, and you just do this, copy and you go back to your, instead of this nav, you can do this, save, and now it should be aligned to the, and if it's not, I quit. So there it is, right? And now we can continue to do what we did last time. So we want to change these styles. You see all align item center, P3, PX, those are all stuff like PX, that's probably paddings, margins, MB -3 is like margin on the bottom to B3. It's same way as you doing the width stuff, but that's something that you would need to experiment on your own elements and see actually what is going on, because there's tons of stuff there. And then we want to change our navigation to be be dark. Well, there are several ways. You can do nav bars, or you can do nav links. So this is the links. Those are links. So there are several ways, like I said, but all of that is here in these examples. If you go and just drill through them, you have navs, and if you click there, it shows you. If you want to just like that, just links in one line, that's what you're gonna do. If you want, different things. So let's say this took too much time, and we're gonna get rid of the navigation. So let's go and do something with this with this green area. And when you want some, let's say our page now, we want some big hero block right under our navigation, and let's get rid of this one that we had before. We will keep our section, but we will remove everything inside, and we will keep the container class, or let's remove everything. No classes, no, just section. Go back. Right now our div is empty. So we go back in Bootstrap world. That hero kind of effect is called Jumbotron, and that's also one of the recognizable elements of Bootstrap. And this is how it looks like. It's that big block. By default comes with, you can set it different colors there. You already learned the colors, but let's say we want to do this way, like this example right here, and they give you the code snippet down right below. So you have one div, you need to say the class to be Jumbotron, and then h1 display 4, it's certain size of the h1 tag, so it comes with certain set of pixels. So h4 display 4, I think it's a bigger, that's hello world. This is the bigger font than if you say display -2, and we can see that. And then the paragraph down below, it's this one here. This second one, you see that the letters, the font is a little bigger than this paragraph, and the reason for that is because we use Bootstrap class called lead, and you will find yourself using that class often. If you want some paragraph to be slightly bigger or bigger font than other, you just throw in that lead class, and it will make it slightly bigger if you want something to be a little more visible, let's say. And then the last element is a button that it's also very how you call it, recognizable from Bootstrap, because it has that recognizable blue color and it has round edges like that. But so let's copy this example right here and put it in our section and see what we got there. And there it is. It went full width because why? Because we don't have that parent container around it, right? So if we go back and give to our, you see the Jumbotron is inside the section. So if we do that class container, it makes it to go in the middle, and it does all that shrinking when you go to the mobile screen. So let's say we want that. What else is in this one? Display 4, we set for that H1 hello world. We want to see display 2. Let's see how that looks like. It should be even bigger actually, right? It's bigger, so the smaller number is the bigger font size. So let's see, display 5, it's a little smaller. So I told you the other way around. So display 1 would be the biggest font size. And that means that why we benefit of using classes, because we don't have to write and rewrite those styles. We just use the classes that comes with styles already. This button has some classes as well. If we say btn is required one to make it look like a button, and then the second class would be btn primary. Again, primary associates you right away to that blue color. If we say btn success with 2 C's, it will make the button green, right? If you want red button, you would do btn danger, and it's going to be red. And you can see all these colors if you go to buttons, and there is the first example they give you are the colors. So here the btn is a required class, and then if you do btn primary, it will look like this. If you do btn secondary, it will look like that. Green will look this way, red, and so on and so forth. And just with using classes, you get your buttons to look somewhat nice. I mean, it's a good start, right? We would need to spend 3 minutes to build our styles so our button looks like this, right? This way you can get it. Also, btn hyphen large LG means large button. If you do sm, it will be smaller button. Just with changing class, you're getting those things. I think it's great. So I don't know how you feel about it, but I like Bootstrap a lot. I think it's used widely all over. You can, if you learn it how to use it, that's a good thing. You can put on your resume also that you know Bootstrap framework, like the same way you hear people say, oh, I know React. That's also, or Vue.js, right? That's a JavaScript framework, same as this is CSS or SAS. SCSS is built in SCSS. It comes with that. It's a little too much to show you. I wanted to, but maybe next class we touch a little bit to it. It's a good thing. It's used a lot, and it's a good thing to learn. and you can use it on your own projects quickly. You get hang of these containers, rows, columns, and you get responsive site right away. You don't have to worry about anything, you know. Um, so that's the buttons, and let's cover one more thing. Let's say now under our, I'm trying to do the similar kind of layout we had last class when we did our image, and we didn't have navigation. This time we have our famous navigation there. We didn't check how the navigation looks like when you scroll down, so we go to, so you see this one is different because we took it from that example. It has different styles, so it doesn't have a hamburger button, but it like collapses, it puts the company name on top, 4 links here, and then the button, which is interesting layout. You can use that as soon as it has enough space, hits medium breakpoint, boom, comes to the regular one, and there you go. You know your navigation is mobile responsive, your jumbotron will be mobile responsive out of the box, and you know how to use columns to make elements to align the way you want, right? Remember that call dash md dash whatever number, that's what it's gonna use for medium and up. So I promise one more element. There's a lot of elements right here, so just in components you have everything that you would probably need in majority of sites, even the models. This is the one I like to use often. So let's say this is so there is a button, and you do this code right here, you click, and it will show you the model, and there you go, you got model on your site, just like that. To build this yourself, you need to know JavaScript, you need to do a lot of styling stuff like that, and this explains you here, gives you the code, and you just change it, customize it to the way you want to look like, and you can customize that model to be big or scrollable, right, like this, or and you see it has even the animation, right? It slides in slowly, and the button closing them. So that's all JavaScript that you would need to do, and you don't have to know JavaScript, and you can build model right there. And maybe you can try for your homework, for your assignment, just add one of these components. I will update homework probably tomorrow, so you'll see so tonight, I don't know if you're gonna work tonight, but anyway, let's say you will look at something while you remember, go through the documentation and try these components here. But for the homework, probably you will have to do 1 or 2 components, and then at least one section to use column grids, and that will be pretty much it. So let's do the cards. I haven't done those in a long time, so I wanna. So there it is, one element, and if you add class card, and then inside if you put image and just put the class card image top, it will make it to look like that. You do the regular source for the image. You don't have to do this, right? If you take the image off, it's not gonna have anything. So card body would be this part right here where you put some content, and then there it is, the button again, the same way, class btn primary would give it, control the color. So let's copy this, although we don't want the image, and we want in our next section and we want our section to be, let's say for now, to set it as container, and let's do 3 those cards, 1 2 3. Let's remove the images from them because we don't have them. And see how it's gonna look like. Maybe it's gonna be messed up, but I don't know, we'll find out. So you see, boom, they're all stacked like that. Why? Because we don't have that row inside our container. So we just did container. So we would need row in order for every time you want to have this 12 grid, to be able to use it, you need to have container and row inside that container, and then you can start using. So I'm pretty sure that this card mean this card expects the row container. So let's check it out, save this, and there it is. But now it's not, they're not made to be inside the grid, so we need to add those column classes. So let's say we want them to be 3 like that. Let's do our same way. We want the middle one to be 6 and the other ones to be smaller. So we just add those classes. So the first card, we want the first card to be called dash 6. Let's save that, add it to the second one and to the third one. But we said that the yes, if you don't have row inside the container, it will. Do you remember that what they were stacked like on top of each other? So the grid is not it's not applied. You can rely on 12 column grid. You need to have row, and it says in documentation, if you read there, it's gonna say you have to have those first. So now we can use calls because we are inside that row. And you can add another row in the same section and have another 3 or 2 or 5 or whatever you want. So
Every
you
time you start with a new container, you have to put a row behind or below it.
yes, but you can have more rows inside one container,
Yeah.
right? You don't have to have one row. So this is my one row, and I can have another one or how many I want. But then the parent will be one container. Container can be like a section, right? You can give class container to your sections, and that's how you can control it. So just like that, we created this effect. But now, because we are not using any breakpoint classes, which are MD, small, and all that, as we go down, you see what happens on small screen? Like everything shrinks. So we want them to look like this only, let's say, on medium and up. So we just going to add that MD. So I want this to be 3 on medium and up, this to be 6 on medium and up, and this to be 3 on medium and up. So now it's medium and up, it's this way, and as soon as we hit small screen, it will go like that. There's a lot of stuff. You see all these elements. You can have carousels. This is a good one, right? Look, with the full sliding stuff, and they give you the code right there. There it is. You copy, put in your site, and you can start from here. You can customize it further, but you get carousel without knowing JavaScript. And
No, I watched a YouTube video on how to do that.
yeah, I mean, it can be tricky. Like I said, it's a framework, which means it has its own rules, and you need to learn them. You need to read them to know how to use them. You can't just set Bootstrap and think, oh, everything will look now awesome. No, you need to learn it, the classes, what they mean, and they're not that bad as when you start doing them. Like I did not use Bootstrap in a while, and I forgot those classes and stuff. And I was a lot more involved with Bootstrap before 4, and when Bootstrap 4 version came out, 4 is when they used Flexbox for everything. Before, it was a bunch of other stuff, like old style stuff, floats and things. So I hope you kind of got an idea about Bootstrap a little more than maybe if you would just read through it. So just try it. You need to install. You need to link the scripts first. And if you go right here on home page, there it is. How you start with using, not downloading it, nothing. Just put this link in your head section as every style sheet, and then at the bottom of your page put these 3 JavaScripts copy these links, put them there, and you have Bootstrap. And from there, if you want to use column grid, we kind of went over that, so hopefully you remember some of it. Other than that, go to documentation and go here. Layout, that would be the responsiveness and layout stuff. Components will be all the other, like lists, bars, navbars, buttons, colors, and just try to use those elements, and you'll find it useful, I'm sure, if you give it a shot. So try it out. Just like adding columns, we got this, which is alright looking. It doesn't look bad. We did not change anything. We can further now add our colors, our sizings if we want and stuff. So
Is our final gonna be on Bootstrap?
you can now redo your whole site if you want and use all Bootstrap. That's fine too. But at least for assignment, at least do navigation using Bootstrap. So do navbar like this, but you don't have to find different example in the documentation. You don't have to use buttons to the right. You can use the one to the left. If you want search bar, it's not gonna function right. It's not gonna search for you. It's just gonna look like that. But pick one of the examples and try to change the colors to make them to look okay with your page, and then pick one of the components right from the site here. So pick one of the components, the one that you all have different designs. So if you have cards on your page, use card. If you want use buttons, Bootstrap buttons, just use buttons. So do at least 2 of those, and then one section to have those columns